Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Christina, and I am a genre-bending literary writer. And today I am going to talk about something that kind of has been crossing my mind in the last few days. It's a phrase that I heard, and it's mostly attributed to boxer Joe Louis, although Mr. Google tells me that Stephen Jobs of Apple fame, he also said this quote, and that is, "Everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die." And I've been thinking about that a lot recently. I think the first time I heard it was actually Tupac, but I think Joe Louis is the one who gets the credit for it. But I'm reminded of this because this past week I got sick. It was the first time I had been sick in a long time. There are benefits to working from home and living by yourself, and one of them is I tend not to get sick very often. But this past week, or about a week ago, I was definitely ill. I took a sick day from work, and that was the first time I had taken a sick day in a long time. And I couldn't write. Like, I had a really bad headache, I had a really bad sore throat. I was not going to be able to form thoughts in my head for at least a few days. And by the tail end of day 3, I started to feel better, but those first 2 days, I was in rough shape. And really all I did was just take meds and watch TV and watch the internet. That was about it. So I was thinking about that quote when I got back to work, because that is the quote unquote dying part of that metaphor. And I basically interpret it to mean everybody wants the success, but a lot of people don't want to do the hard work. And the hard work of sitting down day after day and writing and not knowing what is going to happen with your work. You know, a lot of writers, we kind of write in the dark. We kind of write not really knowing what the final outcome is going to be. Are people going to like this story? Are people going to read this story? Am I going to be able to sell this story? It's really, really hard. It gets easier as you get older and more experienced, because then you kind of have an idea about whether or not something is working. Learning the craft of writing is important, and it will teach you a lot about how to navigate this publishing world that we have. I know for me, I have tons of books. You all have seen them in other videos. I'm in the old location now, and that's because the other location is kind of messed up right now. I'm trying to reorganize my space. So there's books and papers and stuff. And so we're back at the kitchen table. But reading all those craft books really helped me kind of learn how to tell a story, but it was also the act of doing. Sometimes you have to write a story to know it's not going to work. Sometimes you have to write a story to know you had a really good idea. I have a few stories that probably will never see the light of day because those stories are just not that good. You know, it's a story, but it's not a story that perhaps will hold a reader's attention. And I'm one of those readers. I need you to tell me a good story. I get bored very easily. I've read so many different kinds of stories over the years that I'm actually kind of able to like figure out how certain stories end. But even if I know how it ends, I still want to be taken on a great journey, you know? And I kind of messed up in the previous video. I kind of messed up the quote. Uh, I think the actual quote is, I think I said like endings are um, predictable. No, I can't remember what I said. But the actual saying is endings should be inevitable, not predictable. And I've kind of always remembered that when I write my stories. They should be inevitable. I should be able to get to the end and say, oh, yeah, that's how it was supposed to end. I don't really like twists and surprises and if it's not earned, you know? And as someone who tries not to write twists in her stories, I know that sounds wild, but I try not to do that. I also want to get you to the ending and still be satisfied at the ending. That's why I say writing doesn't make me happy, but it does satisfy me. So, back to the hard work of writing. One of the reasons I started this channel was because I felt like there weren't a lot of people like me. And that is, I'm over 40 and I didn't sell my book in my 20s. I didn't have hardly any success in my 20s. None of it came till after 35. And even now, I'm still like struggling to really get something going. Although last year was excellent. And I think this year will be pretty good too. And hopefully by the time this is live, I will have finished my first draft. I am so close to the ending. So close. But let's not jinx ourselves. You know, I don't want to get another sickness or have something else distract me. So I'm putting in the hard work. Let's just say it like that. But I thought it was important to talk about this because, you know, in January, we all talk about goals and we all talk about what we're going to do. And then reality hits. And then we're all sort of saying, okay, that goal's not going to be hit. And that's okay. That's okay if you have to change your goals in March or June or September, you know, whenever. But I also feel like some people sort of over romanticize writing and they think it's all going to the cafe and getting a latte and thinking and dreaming. And it's like, nah, girl, it's writing. You got to sit down and write. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be able to go to a cafe, although it's freezing right now. So I ain't going nowhere. This house is toasty and I'm staying here. But but yeah, I would love to be able to like go to a cafe and write. But the truth is that you know, all the cafes near me, the chairs are hard and they're not comfortable. And you know, it's expensive to get a drink nowadays. You know, they're charging like $8 or something. And I don't drink coffee anyways. So for me, I've kind of let go of that romanticized like writing. And instead, I have just embraced the mundane routine of it. My joy and satisfaction come when I finish something or I get something published or I get a positive feedback or something like that. And then I go out and I treat myself and you know, get a fancy smoothie or something. I'm a smoothie girl, just so you know. But I go to the used bookstore and I buy something, you know, that I reward myself for doing the boring, mundane, hard work. I don't really reward myself just for the act of doing. But I understand why some people do it. It's tough to be in your house all the time writing. And for a lot of people, um, community is important. You know, writing is a very solitary act. And so to be able to go somewhere and write where there's other people that are working and, you know, living their lives is somewhat comforting. So I'm not knocking it. Okay. I'm not knocking it. Go have your latte at your coffee shop while you're writing your novel. Okay. But I also feel like there should be some truth in that. That's fun and great, but you really just need to sit down and write. You really just need to do that. That's the work of it. And then your heaven in quotes, is different for everybody. You know, what is heaven for a writer? Getting your book finished, getting your book published, getting a big advance, living the life of a writer, you know, surviving solely off your writing. It's different for everybody. I know some people who would just love to get their book published. For me, you know, my heaven used to be being a full-time writer. Then I kind of scaled it back and was like, okay, I just want to be published. And then I got published. And then I was like, well, I want to do that again. So I did it again. And then my heaven sort of switched to carving out an income. And that's what I've been trying to work towards ever since. And I realized that that may not happen in a year or two. So I kind of gave myself a 5-year plan. And so far, I'm doing the work, but I'm not really seeing much in the way of success in terms of getting towards my heaven. But I want to emphasize that I understand that it's not going to happen fast. And I may have to change my goals. But I also understand that I'm not going to get to that goal by thinking about it and dreaming about it. I'm going to get to that goal by working on it. And so we move into this new year and you all have these goals to write or publish or build your community and that kind of thing, there's going to be times where you're going to have to just sit down and do the thing, you know, and that it can be not uh, a fantasy. You know what I mean? It might be a reality that, yeah, I need to sit here for 2 hours and write. And it may not be something that you're excited to do every single day, but it's the work that needs to be done because the excitement comes when you finish and you achieve whatever success you're looking to achieve. So, anyways, that's what I was thinking about while I was working out through my head cold a week ago. Um, Hopefully, next video, well, I already know what the next video is going to be, so I shouldn't say hopefully, unless something dramatic happens and I have to postpone that video. But the next video will be an update on a very prophetic dream that I had a year ago. And I'll launch into what that dream is. It's unusual for me because usually I don't remember my dreams, but this one I remembered, and I was reminded of it when I went back and was looking at my old blog posts for the year for the 2024 recap video. And I said, oh, I forgot about that dream. And I still remember it. It's still very vivid in my mind. So we're definitely going to take a look at that 1 year later, because I had it on February 15th, 2024. And it kind of kicked off this whole storm of stuff that I've been doing. So that'll be fun to go back and revisit that. I hope everyone is staying warm if you're in a cold area. And if you're in California, you know, we're thinking about you. I have family in California, but luckily they are safe. I haven't heard anything bad. So um, thank you so much for watching. Links in the description box for my blog, my Substack, my Amazon page if you want to support me, and my Instagram. So feel free to follow me and my shenanigans with writing and inspirational quotes and whatnot. Thanks again, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye.